Okay, The New Gods from DC. Written by Ram V with art by Evan Cagle and not George Fornes. Actually, this week there is Jesse Longeran does the first four pages. It does his introduction of
Oh,
this
okay. Yeah,
this
yeah,
new
yeah, yeah.
character. So um, like I said, I've never read a lot of New Gods. I respected Kirby's art, but it wasn't a sort of universe that the fourth world wasn't something I really got into. So I don't know a lot about it. So the first issue I was kind of wikiing who people are and a little bit for this issue too. But that shouldn't detract from anything at all. So I would advise if you're not familiar with the New Gods, just get some kind of recap somewhere and everything else because this book I think is actually going to be a lot more important than everybody thinks. So, like I
Oh,
said,
read Mr. Miracle by Tom King. That should be a good primer.
yeah, and that too, but more so about the New Gods themselves because all these names and things that they
Right.
get up to is really like wow. Okay, so Ramvi, Evan Cagle, Jesse, I think it's Lonergan, right? He illustrates four pages, but I'd also like to give a shout out to Francesco Segala for his colours in this book because honestly, mate, it really does accentuate Evan Cagle's beautiful art. So the story begins ominously, right, in introducing a new antagonist, Karok, who is obsessed with the remnants of a dead god, namely Darkseid, right? So he sends his scouts all out across the universe, and they will come back and tell him that there are many sourceborn or gods, as we like to call them. And he says, right, I'm going to vow to kill them all, which sets up the groundwork for some big cosmic conflict that feels kind of inevitable and terrifying at the same time. Meanwhile, the High Father, he has a premonition that New Genesis is destroyed and left in ruins after a great war, presumably spearheaded by Carrick. And the narration kind of reinforces this, stating that the fall of New Genesis is inevitable. To pray for the High Father, as even gods may be graced with a miracle, which I'm sure is a play of the fact that Mr. Miracle is the protagonist in this. So back on Earth, talking about Miss Miracle, scot-free. Mr. Miracle faces gut-wrenching dilemma, right? To honor his brother Orion's summons to save a newly emerging godchild, which the High Father has tasked Orion to kill, or stay home to raise his own newborn with his wife, Big Barda. Now, the tension between duty and family is palpable here, and it grounds the high-stakes narrative in deeply human emotions, right? And he wastes 3 days, right? 3 days go by while Orion's doing his thing, right? And he pens this leaving letter to Barda, and it takes him this long to build up the courage to try and leave. However, as he tries to sneak out on notice, Big Barda's no fool. She's no fool, and she catches him, baby in hand, all right, in the act, and insists that they face this journey and this mission together as a family, newborn in tow. Now, those few pages really solidify the strength of their relationship, and you can feel the love between them, right? And it further grounds this book, making the stakes a bit more higher, a bit more personal. It's not just another cosmic war story, you know what I mean? So I love that Ram V's done that. So the narrative takes a sort of a brief but meaningful pause, and it focuses on the earthly ties of this godchild. Right, it's raised in an unassuming household in India. The child's life is sort of steeped in fragile normalcy, but it's on the brink of shattering as we learn that his adoptive father, after finding the child abandoned, climbing the steps of a temple, is being watched. He's being watched by none other than Max Lord's men, right? Because they want this child for nefarious, I don't know. He's got a plan, right? He's a bad guy. He's going to do some bad with it. And the tension becomes quite unbearable. The pacing is immaculate here, right? You're really feeling like, oh my God, something's happening. Like it's like a heartbeat going, right? I was on the edge of my seat in anticipation of what's going to go down. Anyway, especially as we learn that this child in the last issue has absolute immense power, like huge power. This is not a helpless baby by any means. So we also learn that Max Lord, who was previously on life support in a coma, it must be from other story that I haven't read, was brought back to consciousness by Metron, who gave him power and a divine purpose to acquire this child. So this is his mission. This is his mission. Meanwhile, Apocalypse is thrown into chaos as a civil war erupts, with Mantis proclaiming himself the new overlord and inciting the bugs to rise against the parademons, right? And Darkseid is there, and he's watching some of this with Metron, and he expresses unease over Metron's unexpected appearance, particularly because Metron now calls him a friend. So I assume in previous stories they weren't really friends, right? The Sad elaborates on this Earth child whose powers surface at the moment of Darkseid's death, suggesting the possibility the boy may actually be Darkseid reborn or an heir. Probably Darkseid reborn, right? A suspicion which is further reinforced by the fact that Highfather has requested Orion to kill the child, right? And as that happens, the sky is filling with ships carrying Karak and his army, intent on destroying Apocalypse. So that's where it ends. Ram V has continued to demonstrate his mastery of weaving personal struggles into grandiose, kind of mythological narratives. So the art by Cagle enhances every beat, from the tender moments to the cosmic bits. Now, while New Gods 2 primarily sets the stage for future events, its emotional resonance and narrative really stand out in this, right? And it weaves all these threads of impending doom, raising stakes not just for characters in the story, but I think for the entire DC cosmos. I think this book is the epicenter, with the Darkseid being reborn, or the heir of Darkseid. Sorry, Darkseid. And I think this book is going to affect everything in this all-in, you know, I want to say rebirth of DC. They've used that term before, but this new DC, I don't know, chapter, let's say. So, yeah, I think if you're not on this book, it would be good to get on it, because I think it's going to reverberate out through everything else. So, thoroughly recommend it. Absolutely thoroughly recommend it. Beautiful cover, beautiful art. There's nothing to not like. A lot of people don't like the way V is a bit wordy and pretentious with some of his narrative and how he gets the characters to speak, but I think it fits. You know, it's the fourth world. They're gods. I loved it. I'll be honest, I did. Actually, I think I loved it even more than I read it the first time. So that's my opinion on that, Jim. Have you caught up on it?
I look forward to reading it. I love the first issue. Really love the first issue.
Good. Well, you'll love this too. I think you